Hey everybody, it's Matthew Lee with the Tao of Kung Fu, and I'm back here in San Francisco with the Yoga Society, and I'm doing some monkey kung fu training, and I'm doing a little bit of yoga training, and some weapon training, all sorts of awesome stuff going on here, especially like the Bagua and the Tai Chi. I'm really doing out in the back garden and having a blast with that. So this place is beautiful. If you come to San Francisco, you definitely want to come visit the Yoga Society. It's a gym and a little treasure that not very many people know about here in San Francisco. It's a little commercial for them. So today I wanted to talk about a little bit more of punching fundamentals and getting good power generation. So we've already talked about like relaxation, and we've talked about lines of power and vectored force and some different things like that that are really important to be thinking of. Breath is really important, flexibility is really important, cardio is really important, all of that, your overall conditioning. And so my philosophy is if you're training for good power generation, you're going to be in good shape, and you're going to be healthy, and you're going to be fit, and that is what's most important. That's the best self-defense in the world, is just being healthy and fit. It doesn't do you any good to beat up a mugger and then have a heart attack the next day. So remember that. And of course, I also am a big proponent of having a lot of fun while you train. I'm not militaristic, and I'm not going to say I'm the best or blah, 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 because I believe that if you take yourself seriously, nobody else will. The more serious you take yourself, that you want to be called this or that, or master, or grandmaster, blah, 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 people are going to be laughing at you, and you're going to end up being a joke. So let your skill, let your fitness speak for itself. When people guess my age, they guess my age roughly anywhere from 15 to 10 years younger than I actually am, which is exactly what I want. And most people, unless they really, really know me, have no idea that I do Kung Fu or any kind of martial arts, because I don't care. I'm a fitness teacher or a fitness coach, but I also am all about teaching correct, good, efficient self-defense. So let's talk some punching fundamentals. So earlier, we went over the lead, which is the jab. So your good stance that I covered, and then the jab. And we want to get to where, from here, we're rotating around the spine, lifting this foot and striking out to where the alignment of the fist is off of these two knuckles and straight down the forearm, but you don't want to have the arm locked out. A little bit of a bend in the arm. And you want to be tense just for the second that it hits. And then it relaxes and recoils just like a whip. Whips can rip flesh off of people, off of things, and do a lot of destruction, because for a second, just a split second, they're solid and they grab and then they yank back. And that's a lot of force. So you don't want to hit and solidify and stay there. You want to hit and recoil. So it's a lot of power that way. And then back to your guard. Your guard can be out here if the person is a little further range away, like doing kicks. You can deflect and be here to move around. If they're in closer, you want to have your hands here and the elbows down. So it's protecting your ribs and keeping your temples and your ears from being struck. So protecting yourself that way. So the double jab is a really good one. I love teaching boxing techniques first. I started in boxing when I was a little bit younger, and I got the techniques down really well. It totally helped me out in thinking about power generation as I was going through Kung Fu levels and learning different styles. So those boxing techniques, those fundamentals are great to learn just for power generation. So from here, for the double jab, the first one is going to rotate Then you're going to drop down and drag the back foot up and shoot through a second time. So the second jab is usually a little bit stronger and you're getting a little more forward momentum with it. So from here, you're going to rotate and hit, drop in, and strike again. So it's 1, 2. So it's going to be 1, 2. So it's 1, drop, 2. And that way you can move and strike with it. Then we want to work on the rear arm as well, which a lot of times is called the cross or the rear punch. And so from here, we're going to extend it out. I'm pointing the hip at the target as well. So if the target is in front of me, I point the hip at the target and I come up on the rear ball of the foot. And I imagine like if that hip is got a plate attached to it, the shoulders are going to rotate with it as well. So the hip and the stringiness of the leg pushes the arm out. So it pushes out and hits, and then it recoils and comes back to the cheek. So it's going to come from here nice and springy down in our stance so we can move real easily, and then hitting out. So it's striking out that way. So it hits, it's solid for just a second, and then recoils back. And the recoil also starts in the hip, planting the heel. And remember, the shoulder moves with the hip. So as the hip drops back, it brings the arm back, just like when you return a whip. If you flip the whip out, it's just going to die and lay flat. It's the recoil that makes the whip snap. And that's what you want with your punches, it's what you want with your kicks, it's what you want with your elbows, is that solid hit and recoil. Something like an elbow you can definitely get away with more follow through, but punches, for a smaller individual especially, to be able to hit hard, you have to hit with that snap, that recoil. So the 1-2 punch is really famous. You always hear give them the old 1-2, or you hear the 1-2 punch combo, which is the lead jab, rear cross. And I'm teaching that out of Monkey Kung Fu. I just teach to strike with the hands, where you're going to hit with the butt of the hand, then tap with the fingers. You've got the ability to grab the person if you want, or at least scratch. So if you're hitting with the root of the palm, the fingers will snap into the face. And you can even hit with just the fingers and do a lot of damage once you do some finger conditioning. And snap the fingers like a whip into the person's face, their eyes, their throat, and then that creates an opening for stronger, more powerful movements. So a lot of times, once in a while in MMA or in boxing, you'll see somebody accidentally gets a thumb, or maybe not so accidentally, gets a thumb in the eye, and it ends the fight. They have to stop it and let the person recuperate and recover. And it's illegal because it's too efficient, it's too good, and it would end the fight. If they could eye gouge and do things like that, the fights would last much less time. Everything would end in the first round, because the first guy that poked the other one's eye would most likely win. so no eye poking. So from here, 1-2. The big thing you want to really make sure that is not happening is that when you're coming up on the ball of this foot, your weight is not coming backwards. You don't want to hit and not be delivering power. You want to stay in the same spot and be hitting with that reach and then recoiling. So you're hitting, if you're hitting the face, you're actually hitting back here through the head, but you're recoiling really fast. So it's hitting in that way. So your body stays pretty close to the same spot, hitting 1-2, just like that. So, and that's your first 2 punches are the lead and the rear, or the jab and the cross. And what I usually have my students do, just to work on the legs and work on the conditioning for that, is 1, 2, and then do a move. 1, 2, do a move. 1, 2, and I'm doing a little shuffle step. So 1, and I'm shuffling in for the second one, so it even gives it a little more forward momentum and power. And then moving around. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, another aspect you want to work on as you're doing these is the line of power, which should be a very strong line of power that you feel, like a connection all the way from the foot to the hand. So one reason why I'm coming up on the ball of the foot is to help with the rotational power generation coming from the hips. So I always tell the students, point your hip at the target, point your shoulder at the target. That is creating a line of power. But we also want to be thinking of pushing through the heel. So that if I'm here hitting, I've got a strong line of power through the arm to this heel. So at that second I'm hitting here, I'm also jamming into the ground with my heel. Pow! So I'm getting that strike, and then pulling back really fast. Now with this one, it's a little more advanced because it's a twisted line of vectored force through the body, but I'm still pressing with that and pointing the hip and shoulder at the target and making sure the heel is pressing down real solidly as I'm hitting. So you want to really concentrate on the force of the body pressing into the ground as well. So you're getting that 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's awesome because when we have a lot of us in here working on that, all you hear is, and it's like 20 people in here just, right? So it's great. And then you also want to work on speed. So I have them do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're working on connecting it all together. And as soon as you work on speed, if you've done enough of the conditioning for the fundamentals correctly, this is an over-dramatized movement. It's too big. You're going to shorten it, but it should be the same quality of movement to where everything is real fast and it's all in there, pow, pow, to where it ends up looking like you're just shaking. You see guys like Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, and Sugar Ray Leonard, who are all extremely fast fighters, and my favorite, Roy Jones Jr., when they just get in there, and it just looks like they're shaking, it almost doesn't even look like they're touching the person. But in actuality, those fast punches going bah, 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 like a machine gun are brutal. And they wear a person down a whole lot, and they create a ton of openings for anything else to happen. So work on those fundamentals, relaxation, alignment, technique, breathing, all of those super important. Until next time, enjoy the videos and good luck with your training. I'll see you all soon.